Mysterious overseas donors fund Republican campaigns in this country. And once again, the DNC uses the ad to target the GOP in general, but one Republican in particular. Our next guest. Karl Rove is a former senior advisor and deputy chief of staff to President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor, and he's also a founder of American Crossroads, a Republican interest group. Karl, thanks so much for being here. So, is this an obsession?
Yeah, and it's also a sucker punch. Last week they unveiled an ad that had a lovely picture of me and of Ed Gillespie, and they said they were going to be running this nationwide, and they told the press, and they got the press all ginned up. All the cable talk shows, all the news programs ran it. It was the subject of the Sunday morning talk programs. As of yet, I can't find that ad has even been up. There was talk that they were going to put it on one cable network, but we literally have not been able to find the ad. I will believe they're going to waste $500,000 on this ad, as they say they're going to waste, when they finally put it up. But look, Megan, in the greater scheme of things, this is no money. I mean, we're going to spend over $1 billion in politics this year, all the candidates combined and all the groups, and they're talking about maybe spending $500,000 on a cable buy for this. That's nothing in the greater scheme of things, but they want to divert attention from a lousy economy, the failed stimulus bill, the disastrous Obamacare, all the spending, all the deficits, all the failed policies of the administration, and they think that this is catnip to news organizations, and as a result, they're going to keep doing it right up through Election Day. And my message is more power to them. Nobody cares about this stuff, and what people care about are jobs, economy, spending, deficit, and health care, and they are sick and tired of the Obama administration's policies and what the Democrats have done in these areas.
But I want to talk to you about whether it is working, because we're seeing now some Democratic gains in certain critical swing states throughout this. We're going to go through this in more detail with Brett Baer at the top of our two. But just for example, the Democrats have made significant gains over the past week or so in Pennsylvania, Colorado, Kentucky, West Virginia, even according to the latest poll in Wisconsin. And some are saying it's because, here's Pennsylvania, for example. Look at that. Sestak ahead now by 3. Toomey was way ahead of Sestak recently. So that's just one example, Karl.
Well,
and the question is whether making you the boogeyman and talking about these secret funds that the Republicans are raising is resonating.
Yeah. No, look, I don't think so. I think what is happening is there's a natural tendency in purple states for races to close. There's you mentioned these states. The states you mentioned are basically states that President Obama carried and the Democrats have been on the ascendancy as, and everyone has thought that at the end of the day these races were going to close. But I find it hard. I mean, if this was the winning issue in each of these states, then you would think that these candidates would be out there making a drumbeat about it. Instead, what they're doing is they're picking fights with the individual candidates over certain things.
Well, but stand by. But I'm going to let you finish that point. But stand by, because we just saw
Illinois.
Just in case any of you had any doubt about how important Karl is to some of the people out there. Look at this debate in Illinois which is a neck-and-neck race. Listen to the Democrat there, Giannoulias.
While we have tried to talk about, our campaign has tried to talk about ideas about investing in early childhood education, turn this economy around, changing the way things are done in Washington, D.C., Congressman Kirk and Karl Rove, with their millions of dollars, have a different agenda. There
he goes again. And then he mentioned you a second time in that debate, Karl.
Sure, absolutely. But look, who knows me in Illinois? Not a whole heck of a lot of people. And am I critical to their vote decision? No. What matters to them is the quality of the two candidates, in this case a mobbed-up banker, a banker to mobsters on the Democratic side who has trashed the treasurer's office, run the college education fund into debt, siphoned off money from the college education fund to buy himself new furniture and an SUV to drive around in, and the economy. And they're looking at jobs and the health care and deficits and spending, and that's what they're making their vote decision about. Now, you know, he may have mentioned me a couple of times in a debate, but if you go and follow him on the stump, Mr. Giannoulias is not spending his time talking about me. He's talking about these other issues, and that's what smart Democrats are doing around the country. I mean, they may mention my name occasionally in a debate when they think they could be covered, but that's not what's driving the elections, and I'm happy. I am delighted that the president seems to be so obsessed with me that he and his minions are out there talking about this kind of stuff. The great irony is the president benefited from $400 million worth of spending in the 2008 campaign, over $400 million of spending, from groups that didn't disclose their donors, most of them. The spokesman for the Democratic National Committee was the executive director of Americans United for Change, a 501c4 that attacked Republicans and didn't disclose its donors. Groups like the Natural Resources Defense Council, AARP, NAACP Action Fund, League of Conservation Voters, Planned Parenthood, all of which vetsvote.org, all of which are spending in political campaigns, don't disclose their donors, and guess who they benefit? Democrats. And, you know, it's a sign of the hypocrisy of the Democrats and their obsession with me. I'm sort of like Ahab, you know, it's you know, there should be the great white whale, and they're Ahab trying to spear me. I don't know. Maybe I used to say that I was like Grendel and Beowulf, rarely seen but often talked about, but people didn't get the old high school, you know, Beowulf illusion.
Well, now you are more often seen and often talked about. So, Karl Rove, well, we're thankful for that because we love having you on. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, thanks. You bet. Absolutely.
Well, most parents know the importance of parent-teacher conferences, but how would you feel if they were mandatory? Mandatory as in, if you miss one, you will go to jail. You think we're joking? Oh, stay tuned.